Back in the shop today, and we have made some serious progress on this sprayer. As you can tell now, this entire left-hand boom is completely plumbed up. It was just a whole lot of clamps, brackets, and pipes over and over and over. We are literally down to this many boxes. I got loads of empty boxes. I do have a couple large harnesses over there that I really didn't feel like moving for sake of, well, they're heavy. What I've got to work on now is all of my tank plumbing and air purge integration. Actually looks pretty intense. I was looking over it a little bit yesterday, and there's a ton of little air lines, little valves, little hoses that all have to be tied into the strainers, the pump, the bypass, just everything that I want blown out when I air purge the machine seems like it gets its own little airline. One thing I did forget, this 3-inch strainer right here. A little bit. Woo! Well, I made an absolute mess doing that, but I wanted to make sure I got this strainer off now, which we're actually replacing it with this strainer. I haven't opened it up yet. I don't know what's different about it. I don't know why it's getting replaced. But it's very convenient that it is because, well, we just so happen to need a flanged 3-inch strainer over at our liquid fertilizer system. So that is going to get repurposed later today. Dad wanted it so that he could go ahead and get that swapped out. So one of the first things I did when I was working on that center boom was run this hose up to here. And it's finally time for me to tie it in to this port on the tank. This might be where it would be nice to have, well, a third hand. Oh, that's not bad. Oh, this is going to be fun to pull down square and hold by myself. Okay. That's a nice one-way valve for the reclaim so that we can push product from the boom to the tank, but nothing will feed back that way. Well, I quickly realized why they replaced the strainer. The old strainer had this molding, but it didn't have a hole through it, so there was no port for this, which is part of the product reclaim. So, I guess they do know more than I do. Okay, so I'm starting to get into all of the purge lines and all of that, and that's how I came up with this contraption. And it took me forever looking at these pictures, but I think it goes off this bracket, basically bolts like that. And I'm to the point where I'm just watching pictures because I have no idea how this system goes together. I'm just doing it step by step, and I need an extension. But it's one of those things where it's like, trust the instructions, because that check valve I just put on, no idea what it's for. But logic tells me they wouldn't have given it to me if I didn't need it. Now we get to get into some fancy electrical valves that I have absolutely no idea what they do. And this thing actually goes up here, hidden way up here, connected to another bracket that I just previously put on. If I can get my stinking fingers to work up in there. It's an awful tight area up in there. Not very convenient. Okay, I think we got our last electric valve. Pretty sure this has something to do with the pump recirculation, but honestly, I'm not 100% sure. And honestly, I don't even know where it goes. Oh, I gotta completely flip it the other way. It goes up here in this dead space. How convenient. This is gonna be convenient and up out of the way when everything's done, and it makes it hard to get to. Between that and getting a wrench on it, definitely gonna need just a ratchet for that one. No impact. Not sure how well you guys can see this, but now I've got to get this nipple connected to the top of the pump here. And the one thing I can't get over with this kit is everything's pre-cut. I need 8 inches of hose. They literally send me a piece with its own part number that's 8 inches long. I haven't had to cut a single piece of hose yet. Because, I mean, look at that. Look how perfect that hose fit. I didn't cut that. Definitely makes my job easier when that's one less thing I got to worry about.
I managed to get it all back together by myself. That should help a lot, getting that all flanged, get rid of the leaks. Came out just about perfect. So as long as I didn't get any seals flipped around, we should be good to go.
Well, I was making pretty good progress. I was getting ready to put this last contraption here, kind of like that, on the tank. And, well, the one time this hose, I don't know if I pushed them on the barbs too far or it's not quite long enough. But the part that threads into the tank here, I ended up tweaking on it, trying to get the hose to reach, and busted it off. Which sucks, but it's also the very first problem I have had with this kit. And I've done a majority of the kit so far. So, I can't complain too much. But now I need a new fitting. Oh, and I got a bloody knuckle out of the old deal too. Job's never done until you have at least a few of them. Alright, well, I got the fitting out, handed it off to Dad and told him, hey, that's your job. Get me another one of these. So I'm going to focus on getting all these fittings that I put on here. Time to connect all the hoses. Got all the plumbing finished. So if I'm not mistaken, the plumbing, air purge, recirc, everything is finished up for the whole thing. So now we get to move on to the fun thing of electronics. And lo and behold, the first thing is an entirely new alternator. I guess the old one's not. And that sucker's heavy. Guess the old one's not quite enough for this new system. I'd say that definitely looks a little bigger. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I would assume so. Okay, you're good. Thank you. Well, I got pulled away from the sprayer for a few, but that's okay because we are finally going to test out our repairs. Dustin's getting the tanker over here. Elevators are closed today, so he's going to haul some fertilizer in as long as everything goes well here this morning. First thing, always vent the tanker. Alright, so what little is in the tanker is going to go in this tank. So we want to come out of the tanker to here. We want to go down through the pump, out this way, back here, and into the tank. So we should have enough head pressure that we can open things up. And it should push enough fluid through the pump that we'll see if our seal holds. I can feel liquid's moving. Nothing's leaking yet. Alright, well, are we ready to kick it on and give her a shot? Here we go. 265 a minute. Good deal. Hallelujah! That's a lot better compared to the other. That is a lot better. All right, well, we were guessing just about over 2,000 gallons. So our flow meter's still doing well. First fertilizer's in the tanks, and it's April 4th. But successful test. Dustin, I think he is ready to go towards the fertilizer plant and start getting these tanks filled up. Well, I tried to video as much of that as possible, but it was extremely hard because everything was either down with our heads turned over or our hands were way above our head. But new battery cable is all in. That feeds down and around. We've got this really nice fuse panel. And then it goes back and actually had to route this thing up in behind. And it was at this point that I had to recruit Kyle. There's no way one guy could do that very easily. Comes from way back in there. Pushes in real nice to all of these clips all the way back. And we now have our exact apply harness back to here. Alright, belly's full. It's about an hour later. Time to get back to work. We are now ready to run power harness from those two connectors back. We've got to tie in another brain box on top of that one, and then we'll start going back to the boom. I think Dad is going to stick around here this afternoon and help as well. While I'm working on the chassis harnesses, I think he's going to start figuring out the boom harnesses. I think that's something he can work on while I'm doing this and try and get this done a little quicker. All right, well, I think we finally got that harness routed. That thing was a nightmare to wrangle. So many wires. I mean, that's easily a 2-inch conduit for wiring, and it all lined up nice once you got it where it went, but getting it there was quite the struggle. Kyle's got a few here left. Basically, that's the harness for every nozzle. And then that part will be finished up, and Dad was starting to lay out the boom harness. So that should go pretty quickly, but we're going to call that a day. I drug this video out for 2 days. I was really hoping we would make better progress today, and that pretty much would be done with it, but not going to happen. We're down to the boom harness, and that is it. So we see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not going to quite make it in this video. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Stick around, subscribe if you haven't, so that you can see this project finally finished in the next video, hopefully. So to end the day, your guys' fact is that McDonald's once made bubblegum flavored broccoli. I don't even know how or why you would do that, but people do some crazy things. See you guys in the next one.